Opening the flank, white immediately stakes a claim for central influence and prepares queenside expansion. Immediately staking a central claim, e5 challenges white's flank opening and prepares to contest the important d4 square. Developing the knight towards the center builds pressure and prepares for further queenside expansion. Developing the knight solidifies the center and prepares for pawn advances, aiming for a harmonious army. Preparing a fianchetto, white intends to control the long diagonal with a bishop, aiming for queenside pressure and a solid pawn structure. Immediately challenging white's kingside pawn structure creates dynamic imbalances and opens lines for piece activity. Developing the bishop to the long diagonal prepares to pressure black's center and potentially eye the kingside if the pawn structure collapses. Developing the knight here establishes a central presence and prepares for further queenside expansion. Securing central space and preparing for kingside castling offers a solid foundation for white's game. Challenging the bishop pair, this offers a dynamic bishop exchange, potentially simplifying but also creating new pawn structures. Shielding the bishop from immediate capture, this placement subtly prepares for kingside castling while developing a new attacker. Securing the monarch provides a vital strategic foothold, preparing to contest the center with unleashed pieces. Solidifying the center and preparing for kingside castling, this offers a stable pawn structure and a clear developmental path. Clearing the central dark squares grants white a slight positional advantage, though black gets the bishop pair. Opening that diagonal for the queen while solidifying the pawn structure. Opening a diagonal for the bishop, this pawn thrust aggressively challenges white's center and can create lasting weaknesses if not handled carefully. Opening the e-file drastically alters the complexion, potentially exposing black's king. Opening the f-file now forces white's king's pawn further from its defensive duties. Introducing a knight to the kingside, potentially eyeing weak squares or preparing a daring pawn storm. Suddenly forcing the white king's attention, this check exposes new avenues for black's pieces to coordinate and exploit the disrupted pawn structure. Repositioning the queen opens a diagonal and prepares to contest the d-file while defending against further knight incursions. Unleashing a storm on the kingside, black jettisons material for active piece play and open lines. Opening the h-file instantly creates a direct assault lane towards black's castled monarch, a risky but potentially devastating maneuver. Establishing central presence while preparing to liberate that beleaguered bishop creates fascinating counterplay. Trading queens resolves central tension, simplifying to a pawn-up endgame for white's king. Forcing the exchange and clearing the way for the rook to actively participate in the central fight. Exposing the king so early in this already messy position creates significant safety concerns for white. Developing the bishop to its active diagonal, the piece now eyes the weakened kingside pawns and prepares for a more dynamic presence. Exploring the open kingside files, this knight repositions to a central outpost, eyeing potential future skirmishes. Bringing the knight to g4 injects fresh tactical possibilities, potentially threatening both the rook and the king's pawn structure. A desperate king hunt is launched, aiming to expose the black monarch before black can consolidate their material advantage. A necessary retreat to safeguard the monarch, unburdening the kingside from further tactical scrutiny and preparing to redeploy forces. Sharpening the pawn chain's thrust, white commits to controlling the kingside advance and freeing the f3 square for piece deployment.